Outstanding, the ultimate accolade for teachers. We challenge secondary teacher Gurpreet Gruel to go from good to outstanding. A top inspector will observe one lesson. 2 experts will fine-tune his practice and beef up his presentation. He then gets 2 weeks to take on the advice before the inspector comes back for the final verdict.
I know that if I want to get from good to outstanding, I'm going to have to step out of my comfort zone and just try out some of the things that maybe don't come as naturally to me as a person.
Beal High School is a large mixed comprehensive in Essex. Gurpreet Gruel is a science teacher. He's been teaching at Beal for 10 years.
I'm passionate about teaching, and that's what I love doing. And I've got to a certain level of my teaching where I'm doing a pretty good job, I hope. But I want to obviously try and make it even better.
The science department rates his teaching as good.
Gurpreet is a sound good teacher. With just maybe a little bit more of a focus and an effort, we could turn a very sound good teacher into an excellent teacher.
Gurpreet will focus this challenge on his year 10s.
Just look at that. Look at the power radiating off that lamp. 10A2 are a very nice bunch of kids. They're a set 2 ability-wise. You know, the intelligence is certainly there, but trying to engage them is going to be the real challenge.
Sometimes he'll talk about something without actually showing us. So it's almost like he knows what he's talking about, but we don't.
He does a lot of aiding and teaches us, but I think we could have a bit more like independent learning.
He's better than the average teacher, but could be a bit more exciting.
Physicists have this image of being boring, and in my opinion, all we need to do there is give GURPS a bit more oomph, a bit more charisma.
It's the morning of his observation.
Yeah, I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit apprehensive. But I'm looking forward to it. I want to sit down and talk with the HMI, see what she says.
With hundreds of inspections under her belt, School Inspector Claire Gillies leads inspection teams up and down the country. She certainly knows an outstanding lesson when she sees one.
I'm at Beal High School. I've come to watch Gurpreet Gruel teaching Year 10 physics.
In you come, folks. Right, bags in a normal place, please, at the back.
Gurpreet has got 60 minutes to impress our inspector.
Okay, now, today's lesson is basically going to carry on with the theme all about electricity generation. Now, what I'd like you to do is not write anything down. I just want you to have a quick read of 2 sets of statements. So you've got 3 aims here, and we've got 4 lesson outcomes over there. I want you to try and match together these 3 points with those. Compare the 2 statements, okay?
As an observer, the first 5 or 10 minutes of a lesson can certainly give me a feel for whether I'm likely to be about to experience some really outstanding learning and outstanding teaching.
Okay, all right. Let's ask Simone, show how to use block and Sankey diagrams in relation to electricity generation.
I think it's the third one.
I will know how to draw block and Sankey diagrams. Everyone agrees. Okay, you are correct. Well done. Okay. Electricity coming out, okay? Yeah. So what's the thing which makes the electricity?
Turbine.
That's in the middle.
No.
I'll come back to you. Just have a little think.
I can learn from him, but we should do more experiments, just get that practical stuff.
Right, the next type of diagram, a bit more quickly on this one, a Sankey diagram. Okay, first of all, apologies that the numbers haven't come out as clearly as I'd hoped on the photocopy. I think you can just about make them out, and the calculations that you're going to do.
Showing us how much energy is used from each of the things.
A bit more than that.
Maybe you could have explained a bit more about the second diagram and how to calculate differences.
What I want you to look for is the criteria needed to compare different power stations. Yeah, think about if you're buying a pair of shoes. Yeah, what kind of things would you look for there?
Material.
Good. Cost. Yeah. Excellent. Brilliant. Okay. All right. Well, what do you think this hints at?
Why would building a power station cause loss of tourism?
Anyone answer that?
They won't want to come because, like, say, acid rain might like erode the like statues or something.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
When I observe a lesson, I'm looking for very convincing high-quality learning from certainly the great majority of children in the class.
So we had these 4 learning outcomes which we were trying to go for.
We only managed to do 2 of the 4 objectives because we didn't have enough time to do the others. But the 2 that we did manage to do, I understood them very well.
So how did he get on?
Gurpreet, how did you feel it went?
Well, I thought it was organised. It was, and the kids seemed to be on task. I think all those things were good, but maybe want something in there which would make it kind of make them engage even more depth of knowledge, basically.
Yes, I think there were 1 or 2 things that could have been, as you say, deepened. And just the opening wasn't the warmest of, I'm really pleased to see you this morning, I'm really looking forward to teaching you about energy and power stations. That might have just made it go with even more of a sort of zip and perhaps got them engaged. If we looked at those learning objectives and the aims, I thought that was an interesting idea, getting them to pair them up. We perhaps spent a little too long on it. And, you know, we were considering draw, block and Sankey diagrams. We hadn't actually drawn a Sankey diagram, hadn't we?
Yeah, it was given to them, wasn't it?
It was given, and we were just, and I wonder, well, it was a pity we couldn't read the figures quickly, because I wouldn't think they all were really got the sort of 100% or 100 unit concept and the bits coming off it. I love the shoe comparison. And there was that really interesting, you know, this was some deep thinking, wasn't it? That boy's comment about tourism, acid rain, spoiling statues so the tourists won't want to come.
Yeah.
And perhaps we could have praised him and said, that's really interesting how, you know, you're seeing that they're all intertwined. But certainly, I mean, you were really well prepared, you knew exactly what you wanted to do and where you're going. So there were lots of sort of, you know, good quality, generic teaching skills to make the lesson flow. So thank you very much indeed.
With the first observation now over, the inspector highlighted Gurpreet's need to engage his pupils' interest in the subject, whilst digging deeper into each topic. Now it's time to bring on the experts. To boost Gurpreet's progress, help comes from voice and communications coach Ulrika Schulte-Bauklo and advanced skills teacher Jigna Sarani. They start by watching his lesson.
I mean, just from the communication side, I feel he's generally a good communicator, but I would like to have a little bit more distinction between when he gives instruction and when he asks questions.
I want you to try and match these 3 points with those.
I'm not quite sure what he's trying to do here because he's got the aims and then he's got 4 very much task-orientated learning outcomes, but I don't think he was able to sort of explain what the learning journey was.
So, a block diagram.
I like to hear more some kind of sparkle, some kind of enthusiasm for the subject.
Convey that enthusiasm to the students and they'd probably have a much more enjoyable learning experience, wouldn't they?
First up for Gurpreet comes advice from Jigna on how to sharpen up his lesson structure.
I want you to try and match together.
It's really good that you're emphasising learning outcomes, so it is constantly about the learning in that lesson. But a suggestion that I have for you, I think, is to make your learning outcomes a little bit more effective. And a good way to do that and also incorporate all the thinking is to use Bloom's taxonomy in your learning outcomes. So, for example, one of your aims here, for example, it was show how to use block and Sankey diagrams. So one learning outcome would be to describe the use of Sankey diagrams. But if you wanted to make them work a little bit higher, they could generate their own Sankey diagrams. So one other learning outcome to step them up even further would be generate your own Sankey diagrams using relevant figures.
So for each of those learning outcomes, you would have a sort of activity and also the grade.
The way that I plan my lesson is I think of it as a 6-part lesson. We have the start of the lesson, which we call our big picture. And this is the bit where you use the students to help you sort of gauge what stage they're at, what they learnt from last time, and what you're going to be doing with them in that lesson. And it's here that you would introduce your learning outcomes. What we have then next is the new information stage.
And just the one thing I'd maybe sort of want in there is something to actually engage the students right from the beginning.
It doesn't have to come in that order. You can have your new information first, where you've got this hook, this interest, and you do a little bit of your explaining there. So this would be like the first stage in a 3-part lesson. If we're doing the 6-part lesson, what we come to is the part where you have an activity that you've built in for the students to go away and build their understanding. And sometimes you could be doing things like Venn diagrams. It could be something where you've got a sequencing activity.
That's with the longest part of the lesson there, isn't it?
Yeah,
the longest activity.
I think definitely it's providing them with enough opportunity in the lesson to learn. The second part of the middle of that lesson is the application stage, and that might be just a simple exam question that you give them. It might just be some questions out of the textbook, and then obviously you've got the last part of the lesson, which is the plenary. Always refer back to the LOs, and because the learning outcomes are linked to levels of thinking, which you can also link to levels of assessment, it's just a really powerful tool to show the students, look at what you've learned and look at how far you've come in your learning.
So how do you get them to go away and sort of be independent?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's something that does take a while, and it is all about training the students to learn.
It's easier, obviously, if they're trained from the very beginning, from when they come into school, year 7.
Yeah, I mean,
not so easy when you've got year 10 or even worse, 6th form.
I have to disagree with that because what often happens is you start teaching in a way where you are out of your comfort zone. You are doing lots of creative things. And it becomes the way that you teach, whether it's a year 10 class, whether it's a year 11 class. And I think if you want to move from the good to the outstanding, it's actually setting up those opportunities in the lesson where they will learn more.
I would like you to judge yourself in this moment. So, what do you think about your articulation? Where would you say?
Maybe somewhere in the middle. Volume, again, in the middle. Resonant, I wouldn't describe myself as resonant, I'd say in the middle again.
Okay.
I'm going down the middle with all of these, I think.
Yes. Facial expression?
Same one more or less all the way through, I would have thought.
Yeah, for example, you have wonderful variety to praise people, but your face...
It's always the same.
It's the same. It doesn't show like, wow. So we work a little bit on this. So what I'd like you now is to imagine you are like Spider-Man. Okay? Do you remember Spider-Man? He does this kind of... Shoo,
yep.
Shoo, and I like fire in your eyes, like a dragon, yeah? Shoo, off you go, make a sound, be dangerous. Oh, I want you to be far more dangerous. Come on, big dangerous. So I want you, imagine, look over there.
Yep.
I'd like you to put it on fire with your hand. Off you go, and shoo, that's it. And once more, over there. Shoo, fantastic. Once more, and shoo. So, of course, you will not do this in your class, yeah? But I think sometimes, woo, over there. Come on, come back on task. You know, it's like the colors. We're extending the colors of your painter's palette, yeah?
Okay.
Good. So, what I like us now is to imagine there's your class, and there are 2 students, and they have done really well, yeah? But you're not going over there to say, well done. You would say, well done. And I like you now, just with your face, just show me. How would you show with your face, wow?
Wow!
Yeah, okay, good. Next.